Hello lovely people, and welcome to my channel. What I'm doing for today's video is looking at the May 2019 Paletteful Pack. I started receiving Paletteful Packs in February of this year, and I've been enjoying them very, very much. The May packet seems to be based on inks this year. It is a set of 8 watercolor inks, which are very, very high pigment, very, very bright, very nice. And there's a set of markers in 0.2, 0.4, and 0.8 micron bullet nibs, and 1 brush pen for doing line art and such. They also included a set of 2 Princeton Velvet Touch paintbrushes, one in a round and one in a flat, and a small packet of Strathmore mixed media paper, 15 sheets of paper for doing drawings. They have a little prompt list for this month, one of which was jellyfish, and I think that's the prompt I'm going to go with. They give you 1 prompt a week, but that's a little ambitious for me right now. So, nice set of products for this month's palette pack. I'm very, very happy with them. So yeah, that's what we got. So we'll see what we can do with them. Of course, the first thing to do with new products is to do a swatch. And then I did not film doing the sketch because I sketch very lightly in pencil and it does not show up on the camera. So the first thing I did was I went in with the line art markers and did line art around all of my sketch, and then went through and erased all of the pencil. And then I started with the background. I approached this the way I would approach a watercolor, by wetting the areas that I wanted to put the background into, and then touching in higher density colors. And here's where I learned where watercolor ink differs from regular watercolor. And that is that when you're working with regular watercolor, when it dries much, much paler than the brightness it goes down wet. So you have to allow for that when you're doing watercolor, or build up in layers. So this background actually ended up a lot darker than I had expected it to, but that's okay. I think I did well with getting it kind of modeled, mixed the blue and the green in pretty well. And then I did some coral and undersea life to go up from the floor, and a set of 3 jellyfish just drifting along through the scene. So I started with just doing a basic wash for each color, and then I tried to put in some differences in intensity, building up the colors and darkening the stuff that was farther away, mixing the red and the purple. And then again I went through, and with the jellyfish, especially with the hanging tendrils, I again was using a wet on wet watercolor technique, putting in the yellow and then touching in the orange, trying to get it to blend. And same for the tops of the jellyfish, and leaving some of the paper where I wanted highlights. And when I had finished going in with all the colors like this and let it dry, I decided that the line work I had done wasn't dark enough, wasn't reading enough, and I wanted to really, really exaggerate it. So and also give each of the items rather more texture. So after I let it dry, I went back in and I used the brush marker mainly for the heavier lines on the outsides of the jellyfish. And then I switched into the smaller markers for the details within each jellyfish and each piece of plant and coral. It ended up a much more intense picture. The colors are very bright, and again, I'm used to watercolor, where it generally gives you a chance to build up colors. I found I could not glaze at all in this. The watercolor ink reactivated so quickly that trying to glaze basically took what was underneath off. So I decided to give it an actual frame in with the brush pen rather than just having the color end at the edge, because I had so much outlining in the entire piece. And I had taped the edge at the beginning. So all in all, this was a learning experience. I like the way the picture came out. It's not what I had in mind when I started. I had in mind a much more contrasting sets of intensities. I had in mind having the backgrounds be a lot lighter. Again, this is very much a learning experience, and how to work with the ink as opposed to watercolors. One thing I am looking forward to, I did try this out a little bit, is using these inks with a dip pen, and they work beautifully with a dip pen. So I'm definitely going to come back to them and do some, I don't know if I'll do calligraphy, but definitely do some work with these inks using a pen. Maybe do some line work with them, or do some drawing that's much more line-based. But even with those changes, I do like the final result. I think the colors are nice. The intensity is a different look, but it's also a very nice look, and I enjoyed it. And then I always love this little end bit where you peel the tape off. It's like magic. It suddenly takes something that looks like a mess, you know, a work in progress, an unfinished piece, and then you slowly peel off the tape, and all of a sudden it transforms from this unfinished mess with colors, you know, smudged all over the place, into this framed finished piece. And I love it. So here we go with the last bit. And I think I made the right choice putting a black mark along the edge of the frame. I think that works very well. So as always, thank you so much for coming and visiting my channel. I hope you enjoy seeing me work my way through different medias, learning how to work with them as I go. And I hope that it was a good experience. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and be well. Thank you so, so much. Take care.